Good morning, Victory Kids Quest. It is great to see you guys. I hope your summer is going great. Man, we've had some beautiful sunny days. I hope you're able to get outside, even just in your yard, and enjoy the beautiful sunshine. So today we're going to keep continuing with our summer series of different ocean creatures and what we can learn from them. Now, before we do that, I have a big announcement, so I want you guys to get ready. Listen up, get your ears open, and let's get excited and ready for this announcement. Do you guys know next Sunday, you guys are going to have an opportunity for you and your family to actually come to Victory so that we can see each other all together outside on our front grassy area. So it's cool. You guys can bring a chair or bring a blanket, and we're going to be sitting out on the grass listening to some good praise and worship music, listening to a good lesson, and then I want you guys to find me out there on that front lawn next Sunday. I want you guys to find me. You're going to be seeing me carrying a big basket, and I'm going to have something that I want to give to you guys. So if you can ask your parents or ask your grandparent, can we come to Victory next Sunday? And hopefully they will say yes. And we're going to see you for only 1 hour. So it's going to be kind of a quick time, but it'll be a fun, enjoyable time to enjoy each other's company face to face, right? And that's going to be at 10:30 next Sunday. I will see you guys out on our front grass. I'm excited to be able to see you guys face to face. So today we're going to continue, like I said, with our sea creature video and lesson, and see what lesson we can learn from this week. A little sea creature, a small little one. The last 2 weeks we learned about some pretty large, strong sea creatures, right? But this week, a little bit different. In fact, you could even say this little creature is a little bit shrimpy. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about shrimp. Now, some of you guys, when I say shrimp, if you're like me, you think, oh my goodness, I love to eat shrimp. They are so yummy, right? And shrimp are small sea creatures. Some are so small that you have to have a microscope to see them. Some, if they're really large, they're only about this big. But the specific shrimp we're going to talk about today, he's only about this big. He is a little guy. Did you know that God has created over 2,000 different types of shrimp? That is crazy. And you might wonder, why did God create shrimp? I mean, most of them are good and tasty to eat, but do they have a job? Well, they do have a job. In the ocean, they actually help keep the ocean clean. They're a big, huge part of the ecosystem or the biome of the ocean. They bring health to other animals, especially to fish, right? So shrimp have an important job. Even though they're small, they're extremely useful. Now we're going to talk about a specific shrimp today, and his name is the mantis shrimp. And if you've never heard about the mantis shrimp, man, he is amazing. Imagine Hulk hands. You guys know what Hulk hands are, right? Like the Incredible Hulk smash, right? Well, if a sea creature had Hulk hands, it would be the mantis shrimp. The mantis shrimp is only a few inches long, but do you know that he is so powerful? He can break apart stones, rocks, and hard shells. And if he was the size of a grown man, his force would be more than 500 times what a grown, strong man or woman would have. So think of a big bodybuilder, a big strong man or woman punching something as hard as they can. Imagine being able to do it 500 more times stronger. That is a mantis shrimp. Great big things can come in small packages. Some aquariums have mantis shrimp, but do you know those aquariums have to be built a special way? So when you go and you visit an aquarium, maybe on a field trip or with your family, and you see a mantis shrimp, know that that glass has been formulated and created a special way, because a mantis shrimp can actually break regular glass. Can you imagine a creature that small being able to do it? So what I want to do is I want to take a break. I want you to watch this quick video of the mantis shrimp, and then we're going to come back and see the Bible story we have from God's big storybook, the Bible. I'll see you in just a minute.
Oh, hello there, little one. This is a mantis shrimp. They're a skillful little predator. At only about 15 centimeters long, it spends most of its time protecting its home and hunting for prey. But he's got a secret weapon that truly makes him a master of his little domain. When searching for prey, the mantis shrimp uses its amazing eyesight and extreme speed. Its eyes can work independently to scan for food or together to zero in on a target. Also, the eyes of a mantis shrimp detect more colors than most creatures. And once it finds a target, its claws strike 50 times faster than we can blink, breaking this crab shell and offering up a tasty meal for this hungry mantis shrimp. Just another example that powerful things can come in small packages.
Isn't that cool? Did you guys know such a powerful tiny creature lived in the ocean? Amazing. I love God's creative creation. Well, when I was studying about the mantis shrimp, I was thinking about somebody automatically that popped in my mind from the Bible. Some would say he was small and shrimpy because he was small. He was a boy, but God had a huge plan for him. Sometimes we may feel as children that we can't do a lot because I'm only a kid. I can't do this. I can't do that. But there are tons of things that you guys can do as kids, right? You guys can create things. You can invent things. You can help people. You can help change your part of your world, right? Kids can do amazing things. So don't ever think just because you're a young child that you're not strong enough, big enough, or powerful enough to do important things. That little mantis shrimp is really tiny, but he can do powerful things. So the Bible character I was thinking about would be David, right? We love to listen to the stories of David. And you know, David, he has a lot of stories in the Bible from the time he was a young boy to the time when he was a king and ruling over all of Israel. But our story today is going to be about when he was a boy. God had looked out over the land of Israel, and he knew it was going to be time soon to elect or appoint a new king. King Saul had become troubled, and he was having hard times, and God knew that pretty soon Saul was not going to be able to lead the people of Israel. And so God told his special prophet at the time, Samuel, to go to the city of Bethlehem and find a man named Jesse. And he said, this man is a God-fearing, God-serving man, and he has a lot of sons. I'm going to tell you which of his sons that you will choose to become the next king of Israel. And so Samuel obeys God's voice, and he travels into the town of Bethlehem, and he asks around, and he finds where this man named Jesse lives. And it wasn't long after Samuel gets to Jesse's house that he meets some of his sons. And Samuel thinks in his mind, this is why God has brought me here. His sons stand tall and strong. Their shoulders are broad. They're handsome. They speak well. They have good jobs. They work hard. I know one of these men surely will be chosen to be the new king. But you know what was kind of funny? Is as Samuel stood before each of Jesse's sons, and he spoke with them, maybe kind of interviewing them, asking them questions, learning about them, God would tell Samuel, he's not the one. And then Samuel would talk with the next son, and he would hear God's voice, he's not the one. And he heard God's voice even tell him, don't just look out on the outward appearance. Don't look at just what these men look like. Look at the heart of the person. Are they gentle? Are they kind? Right? Do they love me? Do they serve me? You're going to pick someone where you're not looking at the outside of them, Samuel, but you're going to look at the inside of their heart. So Samuel continues, and he's listening to God's voice, and he finally gets down this long line of sons, and he says, but God, I'm confused. There are no more men here to talk with. And you've told me every one of these men are not the one who is set to become the next king of Israel. So God tells Samuel, ask Jesse if he has any more sons. So he does, and Jesse says, well, yes, my youngest son, but he's just a boy. He's out on the outskirts of town playing his harp, right? And watching the sheep. That's what he does for me. He helps to take care of my sheep. And so Samuel says, okay, can you send someone to go get him? Bring him in. bring him to where I can see him and meet with him. And so Jesse calls for some of his sons to go out and bring little David, right? And so the boy David comes, and Samuel, as soon as he sees him, God says to Samuel, this is the one. This is the chosen one. He is the one you will anoint with oil. He soon will be ruling over all of Israel. And Samuel's like, but he's just a boy. And God tells Samuel, no, he is the one. Be he a boy or not, he's going to be the one chosen. So Samuel did what God told him to do. And he took this flask, this leather kind of like bottle, and it had been filled with oil ahead of time. And it was in their day and custom when someone was chosen for something very special, a king, a queen, a leader, a prophet, they would anoint that person's head with oil. And that would represent and show all the people that God had chosen that person. And David that day was overwhelmed. And he tells Samuel, how can it be? I'm just a boy. When am I going to become king? Are you sure? He was filled with questions, just like we would be. And Samuel told him, I do not know the day, the time, or the hour when you will become the king. But know this, God has purposed in his heart to choose you. And you will one day lead all of Israel. Well, in the meantime, God's going to get David ready. God's going to continue to strengthen David, and he knew David's heart. He knew that David loved him and worshiped him and served him. And God's going to give David opportunities to grow and to mature and to be ready for when he takes on being the king of Israel. And that first task that came up was when David goes out to battle to visit some of his brothers, to take them some water and cheese and bread and other food to eat. And he realizes that a group of the Israelite people, his people where he lives, is in this huge battle against the Philistines, their enemies. And no one is winning or even fighting in this battle because they're so scared of the leader of the Philistine army. So scared that even King Saul would not go before that leader of the army and fight against him. And David tells his brothers, this is nuts, it's crazy. Let me do it. I'll go fight that battle. I'll go fight that giant man, that strong leader, so that you guys can get out of here and we can take our land back. And his brothers are like, are you crazy, little boy? There is no way. We don't even go out to fight the leader. His name was Goliath. He was the leader of the Philistine army. The Bible tells us he was huge, and he was just this bloodthirsty, mean giant of a man. And I'll show you about how tall he was. So when you look at the measurements that the Bible gives, he wasn't 6 foot tall like me. He was way above me. And if you look up right at these lights are about 9 foot tall. If you look just a little above them, that'll be 9 feet. Can you imagine walking anywhere and seeing a man or woman that tall? Now, you guys, that is why even the king himself, King Saul, would not fight against that giant. But David felt that God was telling him to go and do this. And David said, you know what? With God's power, I can overtake this man. Just let me do it. He goes before King Saul, and King Saul says, who are you? And no way, I'm not going to let you do that. You're going to die. You're going to be killed. Well, David just kept telling King Saul, no, I need to do this. God will give me the power and the strength to do this. Finally, Saul gives in and he says, if you're going to go, at least take my armor. Take my sword, take my helmet, take my shield. David couldn't do it. It was way too big. It was way too heavy. He couldn't use it at all. And he goes and he uses something that he would use when he's watching his dad's sheep. And it wasn't his little harp, but he took his little slingshot. And he took some stones that he had in a little pouch. And he said, this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to use this little slingshot that I'm going to take round and round and round. I'm going to fill a stone in it. And when I let go, that stone is going to overtake that giant of a man. And Israel is going to be able to win this battle and reclaim or get their land back. And you guys, you know what happened. Only with God's power. God used somebody so small in size, but so big in heart, so big in his mind, so big in power, so big in his worship and his devotion to God. And you know what happened when he flung that sling around, the stone comes out and hits Goliath straight in the forehead between the eyes. And that big giant man came tumbling down. And Israel gained victory that day. Little did they know that that same boy who did that was going to be soon their king. God will use you guys no matter how young, no matter how small you think you are. Great, big, powerful things sometimes come in small little packages. How many of you guys sometimes have ever seen a huge, big box and you wanted to open that first? Maybe it was a present and it was a huge box, but when you opened it, it was just something little and small and not really, cool or important. But how many of you have seen small little boxes, thinking inside, oh, this must be small or not important or not fun, but to open it for a great surprise to be inside, something that had a lot of value and a lot of worth? You guys are that small present, every one of you guys. You're filled with a lot of value, power, and worth, not because of ourselves, but because of God. David knew his strength wasn't from himself. Remember what he kept telling the people? His strength came from God. You guys, I want you to stay tuned because I have a short video for you of David, of when he was anointed to be king, and of his battle with Goliath. So we're going to leave the lesson now so that you guys can view that video, so stay tuned. And next week, I can't wait to see you live and in person at Victory. I love you guys so much. Have a great week and enjoy the end of your video.
Saul was the king of Israel, but he disobeyed God. So God chose a new king for Israel, a better king. God sent Samuel to Bethlehem to visit a man named Jesse. One of Jesse's sons would be Israel's next king. Jesse had 8 sons. Jesse's oldest son was tall and handsome. When Samuel saw him, he thought, this must be the one God chose to be king. But God told Samuel, he's not the one. Do not pay attention to what he looks like. You look at what you can see on the outside, but I see the heart. One by one, Jesse's sons approached Samuel, but God had not chosen them either. Do you have any more sons? Samuel asked. Yes, Jesse said. My youngest son, David, is in the field taking care of the sheep. Jesse sent for David. When David arrived, God told Samuel, he's the one. Samuel anointed David. He poured oil on David's head to show God had chosen him to be the king. The Spirit of the Lord was with David, and Samuel went back home. When the Philistines gathered an army to fight Israel, King Saul got his army ready too. The Philistines had a great warrior named Goliath. Goliath shouted at the Israelites, "Send me your best man and we'll fight one-on-one." But none of the Israelites wanted to fight Goliath. They were afraid of him. One day, Jesse told David to take food to the battlefield. David's brothers were in Israel's army. David saw Goliath and how the Israelites were so afraid. David turned to King Saul and said, "I'll fight him." David had fought off lions and bears. He trusted God to keep him safe. Saul offered his armor to David, but it was too heavy. Instead, David chose 5 smooth stones from a nearby stream and met Goliath armed only with the stones and a slingshot. Goliath made fun of David because he was a young boy. But David said, "You come to fight with a spear and sword, but I come to fight in the name of God. God always wins his battles." David ran toward Goliath. He slung a rock and hit Goliath in the forehead. Goliath fell face down, and David killed him. The Israelites won the battle, and the Philistines ran away. David did not look like a king or a mighty warrior, but God chose him to be king over Israel and gave him victory over Goliath. The Israelites were too weak and afraid to face Goliath. They needed David to fight on their behalf. In a similar way, though Jesus did not look like a warrior or a king, we need him to fight for us. Jesus gives us victory over sin and death.